All right. What's going on, Ghosts and Ghouls? It's Montavious back with the Empty Crypt, and today we are joined by a legend in her own right. And I hope I do not butcher your name, but Bryn, right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay, cool. Because I've always wanted to say like uh I forgot how I saw it in my head. I just didn't know if I was gonna pronounce it right. So how the hell are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. I've just been super busy since the holidays ended and so I'm just trying to keep a level head in a lot of ways as many of us are for a lot of different reasons. But, a lot of things are starting to pick up, so it's been great.
For sure. So, for the people who might not know exactly who you are and what you do, can you give us like a little brief description of who you are, what you do?
Yeah. So I'm Bryn Dami, and I'm an actor, director, and writer. I would say, and a lot of people have said, I'm a jack of all trades. I guess, would be the right term. I started in theater when I was in fourth grade and did some choir and stuff. And from there, I just really fell in love with performing. And it's funny because I used to play sports as well. I used to play softball and volleyball, and I was in love with volleyball. And then I tore my ACL
Ah,
before my high school year, starting in ninth grade. And, obviously, like I got better and whatnot, but I got a little lazy after my surgery, of course, because I was like, that's a whole 6 month plus recovery with
yeah.
physical therapy. And so when I went back to get on JV or varsity, I didn't make the team, but it really brought me back into what I truly loved, which was performing. And so I went back into theater and did more behind the scenes than acting at first, my freshman and sophomore year. So I did makeup and um oh gosh, what is it called? Oh gosh. I hate when I like face
No,
plant
you're
on
fine.
things. I would make the playbills for the people that came to see the shows and whatnot, all that different stuff behind
Mm.
the scenes. And then I was like, you know what? I really miss acting. And so I started auditioning and a lot of ensemble or like supporting smaller minor roles in theater. And then junior and senior year, because I also took drama classes in high school, um, we had the opportunity to write one act plays for our finals for junior and senior year. And so once we get into Never Return a little bit, because I can only say so much because I'm in talks with some people, which is also really exciting. I actually wrote this that's now a feature for a play. And so I put that on stage and I was like, I really want to make this a feature one day. I just have to find my people and, get a great cast and make a cool ass horror film. And so I think about this often now because it's so real and it's actually happening that I'm
Mm.
like, wow. And now it's longer than 4 years because I'm 24 years old and I was like 16, 17 years old when I was a junior. And so, oh God, I graduated already like 6 years ago. That's so crazy. Oh, okay. So, I never, and I feel like a lot of people say this, I never would have thought that I'd be where I'm at, but I worked my ass off to get to where I am. Oh, can we
Mm.
cuss?
Yeah, no, you're good. It's
Okay,
open.
cool. Because I should have double checked on that. But yeah, I really worked my ass off to get to where I am because this is really what I love to do.
Mm.
And you have to work your ass off in this industry. You really do. And you really have to love it and put in your all in a lot of ways, no matter what area you're working in. And so, again, to be where I'm at is so mind blowing, but I'm so beyond grateful because I've just met such amazing people along the way that I know I'm going to work with for the rest of my life and or just have long, great friendships with, and we'll grow
Mm.
old together, all the cheesy stuff.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah. And so then I also started working in Comic Cons as well. So my family friend, which every time I talk about this, everybody's like, oh, holy shit, that's awesome. So John Bernthal is a family friend of mine. So he married my mom's best friend from high school.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very that right there told me how small the world really is. Um, and so he's actually the reason that I started working conventions. So he came to my hometown convention in 2022, and I was like, mom and dad, you know what? I think I'm gonna just go out on a whim and message the convention and see if I can work with him because he knows who I am and vice versa. And
Mm.
so, obviously, how that worked was the con obviously reached out to his agent, who's Sean Clark, who's also an amazing guy. I can't really say anything bad about him. He's been nothing but great to me. And yeah, they verified everything, all went great. And then I worked with him and I just fell in love with working at the conventions. And so, Steel City Con happens 3 times a year. So, I've been going to every show and working at it. And then, of course, I just made all these other friends, and I've been working with booking agents, like different booking agents. And it's such a good way to meet people and connect with people. And I just love everything about this industry because I get to meet people who love what I love in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And you just learn so many cool things about how they rose to stardom or, just continue to work. So I just always say how blessed I am to know who I know and have done what I've done.
For sure. I mean, there's a bunch of people who would literally kill to be like, in your position,
Mm-hmm.
especially with, again, doing the whole movie scene, you acting like, and it's a lot of people who never get to be or experience, the things that you're embarking on right now. So just, we're going to rewind it just a little bit. So like, what exactly, so if softball would have took off, do you think you would acting would be like a secondary thing? You think softball would have been like that love that you would have done?
Well, so softball I only played for a year because the coaches that I had were not nice. Um, but I digress. So that's why that's why I got into volleyball more. But honestly, I may have like if say I made the team again. I feel like I still would have made time to do theater, to work in
Mm.
theater. Because I did love it so much growing up. And my dad, I honestly give him a lot of credit too because besides movies in general, he really got me in the horror genre since I was like 3 years old. I've been watching horror since I was 3. And I tell people that sometimes and they're like, oh my gosh, like, how did your daughter watch all that stuff when she was that young and yada, yada, yada. And I've loved it ever since.
Mm.
And I feel like that happens with a lot of kids. Horror is just a genre that it's hard not to love, if I phrase that correctly. Um, it's one of the best genres, hands down. I'm sure many would argue that, but I think it's one of the best genres, hands down. But sorry
Yeah,
to get
I
sidetracked.
definitely have to agree with you. Speaking of, horror being one of the best genres, because you can have elements of every genre in horror, love or romance, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
the action, like literally everything you can get into that. Sorry, let me see. I just had some come across the screen.
I
So
know
yeah,
you're
no,
good.
all that stuff, in horror, and I feel like it's so versatile. It's definitely not a one dimensional genre. You can do so much with it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. But getting into your film, so this was originally a play that you written in high school.
Yeah. Yep.
So how was that like? That's a full circle moment to one day be like, oh man, I really want to do this in a feature, and to now you actually have a cast, have a crew, and you're about to do the damn thing. So run me through those emotions right now.
Um, honestly, it's a very surreal feeling. And I might repeat myself a lot, but truly, I'm just very lucky to have the people I have in my life. Um, I'm having talks with certain people because of my boss. So I moved to Georgia last November, and to think it's already been close to a year at this point. I mean, yeah, we still have some months to go before November, but still, like, it's crazy how I moved here in November. I was working at a restaurant. I was like working 70 plus hours a week, barely making any money to pay my bills. I was so stressed. And then one of my old roommates, she sent me this Facebook post that a producer was looking for an assistant to do post on a couple films. And I emailed him, and literally within a few minutes, he emailed me back. And meanwhile, it was funny because I was dishwashing that night, and I was like, I can't pass this opportunity up. And so I was, working at the restaurant dishwashing that night, and he emailed me back really quick. And then we set up a meeting within that next few days. And I went over to his house, and we, talked, and he ran me through everything that I would need to do. And he was like, okay, when do you want to start? And I said, I can start tomorrow. Like, you just let me know if that works for you. And it did. And, I just started working with him. And ever since I started working with him, it's been nothing but an amazing opportunity. And I got to implement a lot of what I already knew into the work that we're doing. But also, I've learned so much from him because the movies that we've been finishing up post on, they're a lot higher caliber as far as budget goes than what I've ever worked on, because I've been working in indie for a long time, and many start in indie and background and all that stuff before they really start getting on bigger things, getting agents, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And so because of him, I'm having these talks with people that people would truly dream of having right off the bat. And because this is my first feature, I'm still very much taken aback at how quickly this has come about. And he actually, so his name's Robert Shapiro. Shout out to Robert. Love that man. He's amazing. He is not a huge horror fan. And so I was very, very skeptical in a sense of, oh, I don't know if he's going to like my script. Because he had to read it first before sending it off to said people. And he and I and my production partner, Adam, had a meeting to go over some stuff. And he said he really liked the script and that the way I wrote it was very smart. Because when we think about horror, we always are like, oh, these characters are most likely gonna be more on the dumber side, in a sense of like, you're yelling at the screen, don't go in that room, don't do this, don't do that.
Yes.
What I want to do with my movie is have more logic in it. Because if I'm in a situation, I think about myself in a lot of ways when I wrote these characters. And so I was like, okay, if I was in this situation, what would I do? Like, I'm not going to have it to where they're having mindless sex. Oh, they're going to die, obviously, because they're having sex in a horror movie. Yeah. I wanted to make something that, of course, you're still probably going to say, oh, no, don't go that way. Oh, no, don't run in there. Oh, don't do this. But there's these characters, they're like, no, we need to make a plan. We need to do something. We need to get the hell out of here. And we're going to fight and make sure that we do. That doesn't mean people don't die. Even if you still use logic or you fight, there's still that possibility. But I wanted to give more of that to these characters because, the way I wrote this ensemble, they grew up together. They've been through a lot together. And it's very important, and it makes a lot of sense for them to say, we're going to get out of here together, and we're going to fight and make sure of that, no matter what the cost is. Because when you have a group of friends and you're put in a situation that's like you could die, I mean, you're all going to protect each other as much as you can, Yeah. So we have an amazing cast that I am I still am like jaw dropped at myself sometimes because we just have such a great ensemble. And if you check out the Never Return Instagram, you can see all the casting. But of course, I'll give out some names. So we have Kaylee Heyman from Terrifier 2. She played Brooke. Love her. She's one of the sweetest girls ever. She's so fun. I can't wait for her to play Joe. We have Casey Hartnett also from Terrifier 2. She played Allie. And you know what? I think a lot of people, before I give a few more names out, are going to be really, really excited and happy to see what happens with these two characters. Let's just say justice for Allie and Brooke. I will leave that
For
at that.
sure. Okay.
And yeah, we'll leave it at that. But it makes it like
No
it just makes
spoiler.
me so excited to talk about these kind of things because I'm very proud of who I've become, how far I've come, and I love supporting other people, sharing it with other people, and just making this community of support and kindness and happiness, if that all makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a really good feeling when you have the support and you can give it back, if that all makes sense how I phrased it. um we also have Gabriella Pizzolo from Stranger Things. Like, what? And it's funny. So I worked with Gabriella at a convention, which was Steel City Con, my hometown con. And she asked me, what I do for a living and whatnot, and how I got into conventions. And so I was telling her and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I'm working on a movie right now. It's a horror movie, all those kind of things. And she was like, oh my gosh, really? I love horror. Can I see your script? And I was like, girl, yeah, because I wanted you to audition anyway. So like, yes. And so like that was also very full circle for me because I don't really particularly like to outright tell anybody I work with outside of a set that, hey, this is what I do. I prefer to be asked about it. And so when I am asked about it, I give some details. I don't get super deep. I would rather be asked the questions from whomever it may be, whether it's a celebrity, a booking agent, yada yada yada. And so that was a full circle moment for me because I was like, wow, she liked working with me, but also she cared to ask. And I mean, no, I'm not saying you have to ask your handler or whoever is working with you what they do for a living and whatnot, but it was a good feeling that she wanted to have that conversation with me, if that also makes sense. And to now be able to say that, she's casted is amazing. And she's such a sweetheart as well. And I can't wait to work with her. And then I have some other people like Sarah Bencart and Joey Richer, Carmine Alvezio, Alexis Neuenschwander, so on and so forth. And just such an amazing group of people that I've grown to know, whether that was in college or growing up, social media. One of the girls that I casted, I found her on TikTok and she posts videos. Sometimes her name's Isabella Carlson. She's also a sweetheart as well. Like, I just can't really say enough, like, how kind and well-rounded the people are that are involved in this project, whether it is cast or crew. And I just, I'm very, very proud of everybody that's involved. And grateful that they want to work on this with me.
And that's amazing that you have so many like talented people, not only just yourself, but like so many talented people around you that want to be a part of this. So like, have you guys a table read or anything?
Can you say that again? You broke up. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. The Wi-Fi's kind of acting up. Have you guys done like a table read or anything yet? Have you seen these people like mash together other than like, the people from Terrifier 2 who's already worked together? Have you seen anybody else, kind of get together and see if they actually mash up?
So we have not done a table read yet. And the reason why is because before said talks began happening, we added some more new stuff to the script. And so I want to make sure, like, once those said talks are handled, that this will be the script that we're sticking with, if not super, super close to it. Because, of course, when you're on set, some stuff can be switched around a little bit before we actually like sit down in a Zoom setting, or if we get in person before filming, obviously, to do the table read. So we have not yet. But of course, honestly, I am not scared about that at all. I mean, obviously, like, I know how Felissa works. Love that woman. She's one of my great friends now, Felissa Rose. Rick, awesome. We love Selfie Guy. Give
Fuck
that damn
yeah,
guy
girl.
his Oscar, okay? I hope
For
Rick,
real.
Rick sees this, because he better be commenting "fuck yeah, girl," because I told him give him his damn Oscar. And
For sure. Hell yeah, he
so
deserves one. That man is awesome.
but at this point, like, my cast, I've either seen them work, or I've worked with them at some capacity, or like in that realm. I've seen how they work, or I know how they work because I've worked with them already. So that is to where that makes me not worry as much as how the dynamic is going to go. And so, I mean, because a lot of people are like, you might want to do a table read. And I'm like, of course we will be doing a table read. But again, because of said talks, I want to make sure I give them everything as updated as I possibly can before we really, really start rolling into heavy production and getting everything prepped for filming.
Nice. So when you guys aiming to put pen to paper as far as like filming goes, when you guys aiming 2024 or 25?
We are aiming for 2024. Okay. And I know I keep saying said talks, and there's a reason. So y'all are just gonna have to wait for that information. But again, because of said talks, that filming can be moved up very quickly. And so that's what I'm hoping. My fingers are crossed for. And I would prefer during the summer anyways, because there is a scene where they have to swim in a lake, if not a swimming pool. So because of that, I would want to also make sure that we do it during the summer. So that way we have a lesser chance of people getting sick. Because guys, COVID is still a thing. So I want to be very mindful of that and make sure that everybody, feels safe and comfortable and is going to have a great time and not have to worry about that kind of thing.
For sure. So, just kind of, what does horror mean to you? If you could just sum it up in like one word, what does it mean to you?
Oh, one word.
If you can. Now, if you need multiple words, you can definitely do it. I usually try to ask, because horror means different to different people. I know what it means to me. So, like, to you, you may have your own feeling towards it. So, I'm always curious to know people's answers.
Home. And I say home in a sense of, like I mentioned earlier, because of my dad, at such a young age, I started watching horror movies, and it makes me feel, I mean, we have those adrenaline moments, and we have those like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? Or then you have those classics where you're like yelling at the television, like, come on, don't go through that damn door or something. I just feel like, well, let me think. The community too. The horror community. I have yet to meet one person in the horror community that is rude. So that
I've met one, but I'm not name dropping here, so I'll keep that to myself.
That's
but
fair.
No, you're right. For the first part, I mean, everybody's loving in this community. It's very all inclusive, and I don't mean off. So definitely keep going there.
Oh no, you're totally fine. You're totally fine. But it makes me think of the time, like the good memories I had growing up of watching those movies with my parents and my family, and then of course like meeting an awesome horror community, because like I said, I mean, not everybody's nice, so maybe I'm just really lucky. I mean, I wouldn't like I've had to like be a little, I don't want to say harsh, but I've had to put my foot down with some horror fans because of how they come up to the table and how they start acting before they talk to the celebrity. Because
Mhm.
I mean, I know that a lot of times the celebrities don't need the protecting, like they can handle themselves and stand on their own 2 feet. And I never try to come off as like rude, but I'm also like, dude, you gotta calm down a little bit or like watch what you're saying there because it's like not appropriate or it's just not nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, those little things because sometimes people are just rude or they're just really drunk. And you're like, maybe you need some water. Why don't you come back?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't ever mean to come off like an asshole, but I'm also like, as my job, I feel obligated. Well, I wouldn't even say obligated. It's just I feel like it is my job to, you know, sitting with the celebrity I'm sitting with, I'm like, I feel like I should protect them in a sense
Yeah.
and say like you need to chill. Like this is not okay. Like but then a lot of times it's more of like it's not always like that. It's more of like they're just really excited. So I'm always
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's okay. Like they're really nice and they're cool. Like you got it. You're good.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot more of those experiences, which is obviously like where I come in and say like the horror community is a really great community. Um, I love everything about it in that sense.
For sure. No, I'm right there with you. I think for me, because I'm actually born and raised from Georgia, but I relocated.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm from Cartersville, Georgia. I don't know if you know where that's at. I
mm-mm.
don't, it's like so. So where do you live? Like in Georgia, what city?
I live near like Peachtree City, Fayetteville area.
Okay, so that's like south, like right. I'm trying to remember
Yeah,
south,
yeah,
like
yeah. It's more south. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm from like northwest Georgia. Let's say
Okay. Are
trying to
you up
think.
by like Marietta, kind of, or is that a little
So
farther?
farther north than that. So do you know where Kennesaw
Oh,
is?
yes.
So like on the other side of Kennesaw, like that's where I'm from, born and raised there.
Okay.
And growing up there, um, being African American and being in horror is kind of frowned upon because there's a you are in the Bible Belt, and my
That is
parents
true.
were yeah, and my parents were very big into the church. So
Mhm.
anytime I did express interest in horror or whatever, it was definitely frowned upon and Satanist or whatever. Um, so I just feel like, and this kind of just took a turn, but within the horror community, especially conventions, you don't see too many people like myself. We're definitely out there. We're definitely there, but you don't see too many, and I want to change that. That's the whole reason why I kind of started this podcast, this platform to kind of, you know, tell people who look like me, like, hey, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to
Yeah.
be where you're from and like things that typically isn't normal in our community, because I'm all about, being together, being one. And so when I travel, because I travel a lot to go to these different shows, that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's kind of what I'm getting. And that's kind of how we met in person when
Yeah.
in Kentucky. Um, so, I love to have people that look like me in something so loving. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of like my life mission. Like before I die one day is just to bring people to be together. And I feel like, why?
Yeah.
Like, this stuff is cool. Is to me, it means safety because I didn't have the best upbringing. So I could escape looking at Michael Myers or Jason or Ghostface, you name it, I could find it was weird. Like I could find safety in that because I knew the bad guy was the one on screen and
Yeah.
not to put my whole business out there, but like I knew who the bad guy was. And like sometimes in your life, you don't know who the bad person is until, they get too close to you. And it could be somebody, mom, dad, uncle, whoever, friends that could really backstab you. So me knowing who the bad guy was kind of my safety net because like I know he's bad. So I know, so but yeah, that's my little spiel on the horror community and why I love it. Like I go crazy for this stuff. So, but
Uh,
what's your favorite horror movie?
Oh, see, this is so hard for me because I mean, I always say the OG Halloween a lot of times.
But
Um,
Like,
It's
okay, your second favorite then.
my second favorite. Gosh.
I feel like everybody says Halloween, which is great. Don't get me wrong, it's great.
Yeah.
But let's kind of like cliche, like what's that? What's
Yeah.
that? It's just like you could watch.
Well, and like I said, yeah, I've been saying Halloween for years, but now, I mean, if I had to, as you can tell, I
Right.
love, okay, a lot of people, at least a lot of people that I've talked to, actually did not like X. And I said, first of all, Mia Goth, I need to work with her at some point in my life. Like
Mhm.
I don't care if that's acting or if I'm directing her. Like I need to work with her. There's something that she has that is so raw, and she doesn't care in that sense how raw she looks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like, well, when you watch X, she's this badass, like, you're not taking anything away from me, and I am not dying. Wrong one. And she lives at the end. And then you watch Pearl, and it's obviously the prequel. And um, you've seen Pearl, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so when she goes and does that audition, and then they're like, you're not what we're looking for, and she just yells like, oh no, I'm a star, like please, like give me another chance. And then she just like nasty cried. From what I remember, it looked like she was snotting a little bit. Like, I love those kind of performances that they
Mhm.
don't care what they end up looking like on screen. Like, they're willing to have snot running down their face, tears, makeup, all the things. Like Viola Davis, she is absolutely incredible. And so she's like that as well. She doesn't care. She'll let the snot come down her face. I'm like, girl, that is it. Yes, please. And so with Mia, she likes to get like weird. And I'm here for that kind of like acting. It's like you're willing to step outside of the box and just be like, here's my character. This is what I did with it. And it's different. It's not like that borderline normal kind of acting, if that
Mhm.
made sense.
Yeah.
She goes to crazy places and does some crazy weird stuff in some of her projects. And I'm so here for that. And so also she's gorgeous. I'm like, girl, let's work together, please. Um, so I loved X. Um, I mean, I like all the classics too. Like, I love A Nightmare on Elm Street. A lot of people don't like the OG Friday the 13th for some reason, at least
Which
from what
is
I've heard. And I think it's good as hell. Like, I get it. Jason wasn't in it, whatever. He's the big premise of the story. But I really loved seeing a female killer, because you don't see that very often either. And I'm ready to see that more. Wink, wink.
Yep.
And I'm ready to see more female leading, more female killers in horror. Listen, I love women. Women are badass, and I love men. They're badass too. But you know what? We know how to get crazy. We know how to get crazy. And I'm ready to see more crazy killer women in horror. I really am. And eventually I'm planning to do that. That's another story for another day.
Oh,
I
oh,
have
there
another
you go.
script up my sleeve that I am like dying to do. Um, where it's a female killer. So
And why haven't you think that we've seen any like really mainstream? I mean, besides Carrie, but I mean, I I can't even say that. Like, so why do you think we haven't seen any like mainstream female, you know, slashers or killers that that could carry a franchise? Because I'm pretty there's women that I believe, like I think Danielle Harris is one of them. Hell, I think Scout. I think
yep.
there's so many women that could lead a franchise, just like being a killer, not just the superhero like like Laurie Strode's, you know what I'm saying? Like Jamie Lee
Mm-hmm.
Curtis. Like, I do want to see a female slasher that just keeps coming back. So why do you think that hasn't really been explored?
Um, I think one big thing is we have adapted into the final girl. We always want to see that final girl that comes out of the cabin or whatever, and she's all bloody and beat up, and she won. She's the final girl that lives, and hopefully we see a sequel. Because you see that in Scream a lot, where I mean, until six, I don't think that. No, in two there was a female killer. Technically, it was Billy Loomis's mom. And then you saw it again in six with I think I'll say her name right. If I don't, I'm so sorry because I love
Um,
her too. Liana Liberato, I think is her name.
and also, what's her name? From Unfabulous. What's her name?
Unfab. Oh,
Remember, like back in the day, Unfabulous. I don't know if you, because I'm 28, so like I don't know.
oh, I'm 24. You're only 4 years older than me.
Uh, em, not is it Emma Roberts? No, that's not it. Is it?
No, I'm gonna
No,
look it up because now
Fabulous.
that's gonna bother me.
Like it was the Nickelodeon sitcom. Is
Um,
it?
let's see. No, Emma Roberts was in it. Oh yeah. You saw her in four too. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
My bad. My
So
bad. And
you
four
know,
was one of my favorites. That movie is so underrated. It
yeah.
hurts me. It hurts me. So you know what? That's in one of my top favorite movies too. I love Scream 4. I think it's very underrated. I liked the dynamic of the characters. I liked the plot line of it. Um, I think that one was just very underrated, and I think it deserves more love. Um, but I that's just again my opinion. But
Yeah, no,
um,
I'm right there.
I and then I think unfortunately I think it's gotten a lot better in as a whole.
Mhm.
In a sense of how Hollywood looks at women, but I think there's still a lot of work to do as far as how even just in general life how women are treated and looked at any work capacity, any workplace.
Mhm.
um and so I feel like, at the end of the day though, this might be a little of a sidetrack answer too. I just feel like I get that, studios, when you are funding a film, like, studios are a lot more strict, and rightfully so if they're giving you thousands to millions of dollars for a movie. Completely get that.
Mhm.
And of course you can't trust everybody either. um but I also wish that not even just Hollywood itself, but everybody in this industry as a whole, whether that is indie, whether that is with the studio within Hollywood, wherever, I think I wish they would take more risks in a lot of senses.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I feel like a lot of people can be very surprised and also pleased leaving a movie, especially with horror. And yeah, I'm all for supporting my peers, giving
Mhm.
those chances, and just let's make a fucking movie, like let's
Right.
have fun and make a fucking movie. um because that's not always the case. And everybody's going to have their opinions, the critics, yada yada yada, about films,
Mhm.
whatever genre it is. um but I'm always very appreciative of the critics, of audiences, of people that are willing to back your movie,
Mhm.
of people who give you a chance and have that faith in you. Because that doesn't always happen. And when you find those kind of people, stick with them.
Yeah.
Stick with them. Uh, because you know that they have your back then. Majority of the time. There's some times where you'll find a couple slithery snakes. That's just Hollywood for you though. Like
Mhm.
nothing surprises me in Hollywood anymore. Um, so I think Hollywood, indie as a whole, we all have things that we should change pertaining to how we treat people, how we treat women, how we treat the kids in the movie industry. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, I think slowly but surely, everyone's getting better at that, which is making it so much better for all of us to actually enjoy what we do. I mean, look at the strikes. Holy shit. That scared me. That scared everybody because people in this industry, we're used to working 3 or 4 jobs to make ends meet. And even then, we still struggle with those multiple jobs. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we're used to. Um, but it's so, I know this is a sidetrack thing, but like when the strikes happen, I tried to find a part time job. Nobody would hire me. And I'm like, am I going to have to move back home? This is scary. It was a
Yeah.
scary time. It was a scary, like, what, how long did that go? Like, and that includes the writer's strike. What, like 8 months?
Eight
If not,
months. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
like it's terrifying. And so I actually wonder if it's okay to say this, please let me, I mean, stop me if not. But like, did anybody else like when did you guys have side jobs when the strike happened that you didn't really have to worry too much? Or were there other people like me that were like, oh shit, I can't find a job? Like, I'm like, please comment that. I'm personally curious because I was freaking out. I was like, how am I going to pay my bills?
Yeah.
I mean, and granted, everybody deals with that, even with a normal 9 to 5, because the way the economy is, everything's so high. And it's like, bro, I can't even have fun anymore.
Yeah. I like. Yeah, I can't even. Yeah, no, you're totally right. And it's crazy that you said that because Jonath. I don't know if you know him, but he was the store clerk from the Terrifier 2 scene. He gets hacked up
Oh,
and all that.
Jonathan.
Well, is everybody calls him Jonathan? I say
Oh,
that too, but it's Jonath. But he doesn't
oh,
care.
oh, okay. No. Thank you for telling me that because when I actually meet him, I'd like to say his name properly.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, good. Yeah, and he actually lives in Atlanta. So,
Ah,
uh,
yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome.
So the
Okay.
thing about that is he quit. So in 2016, he was a what? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank. My bad, Jonas. Uh, he worked in like finance. So
Okay.
he's a very smart guy, very smart guy. And so he stopped in 2016. He was like, you know what? I want to get into acting. Literally, just did it, just got into it, and then he's been booked for. He just got done with Blue Bloods.
That's
He's worked
awesome.
Law and Order. He's been on Manifest. He's been on
Wow.
um, Power. The with 50 Cent. Like he's been on that. Um, the guy gets booked, and so when the whole strike happened, he was like, "Man, I'm used to being booked because he's a SAG actor. He's like, I'm used to being booked, man. I'm gonna have to go back to my old job just to support my family." And he was like,
Yeah,
so he was very, worried at the time, but thank God, the strike was over and he was able to pick up stuff like immediately. So
that's
I,
awesome.
because I work a regular, I mean, I own a company and I work a regular 9 to 5 as well. So my job, my employment wasn't affected. So really, I mean, the economy's crazy right now, but I'm saying like I wasn't at risk.
Hmm.
Uh, like you guys were like this is how you feed yourself. This is how you put clothes on your back. So I can imagine in my mind like having that sit on my back. So how did
Hmm.
you overcome like all those fears of like possibly not making money for 8 months?
Thankfully, I definitely had a little bit in my savings as
Mhm.
well, um, to like help me through those times. But what it boiled down to, the biggest thing is, watching what I'm spending my money on.
Yeah,
Um, and I hate asking my parents like, "Hey, can you send me a little money?" I hate doing that. I
for sure.
freaking hate it, man. And so, um, but regardless, even if it was just like I would, mom, dad, I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. Like I'm 20, I was 23, 24 now. Like we all around this age are like, how am I going to pay all this when it's hundreds of dollars? Like car payment, 300 and some, insurance, 200 and some, rent, 750 plus.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I just really, really, really tried to take it day by day as much as I could.
Mhm.
And that was not easy either. I just tried to stay as patient as I could and prayed and just breathed and you know, because a lot of people, even again without the strikes that aren't in the industry, homelessness is ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
and it's a real thing.
scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. And I I don't know how we haven't like figured that out yet, like helping the homeless.
Mhm.
Um I don't know. There's just so many things that I'm like, how have we not figured that out? How have we not solved it? How have we not stopped it? Um, but that's life, how some people would phrase it, I guess. But I'm tired of like living that kind of life. Like, let's find the solutions to these problems, whether that's in Hollywood, that's down the street, that's in the city, that whatever it is. Um, like if prices are going to be the way they are, we need to be making the money to live then. And these businesses just aren't paying that kind of money. And it's so hard because, again, it's all of us. It's not just like me or you or five other people, it's everybody.
Yes.
And like, I would like to have my own house. I would love that. But houses are like 400,000 or more.
Yeah.
And I look at some of the houses for shits and gigs online in Georgia, and some of these houses are like $1 million. And I said, huh? For
Mhm.
like a 3 bedroom house? You're funny. You're so funny. Nobody would pay that. Good luck.
Yeah.
Nobody. I just, I know that was a complete sidetrack.
No, you're good. Open forum.
But I think it is really important to have these kinds of discussions.
Mhm.
Um, I love what I do. I love Hollywood, but as a majority of the world, there needs to be some changes.
For sure.
And, you know, I always am willing to go into more depth conversations about that. Of course, I'm very much like, obviously got to watch what I say. I don't want to damage my career, but I also am not going to sit back and let ABCD happen. You
Yeah.
know, we all have freedom of speech. We have the right to do that. And I think the more we have certain discussions, whether again that is about Hollywood or what's going on in the world, I think it's important to have those discussions and really be open-minded about them. We don't all have to agree 24/7. We can agree to disagree on certain levels. There are certain topics where it's like, it's 2024. Come on. Like, don't be an asshole. Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
But I just I wish we had a world more that we had more kindness and understanding instead of I'm on this side and I'm on that side and then fuck you and fuck you. Like I don't understand why people want to continue living that way. I think that's also another big reason why I love the entertainment industry and watching movies, because it gives a lot of people this escape for just a couple of hours, give or take, on how, depending on how long the movie or short film or whatever it is they're watching. It's nice to sit in a seat and watch a movie and forget what's going on for a minute in this crazy ass world. And then when it's over, it's like, okay, back to the real world now. Of course, like I'm not saying, yeah, go watch a shit ton of movies and ignore what's going on. but I understand why a lot of people love watching film and television. Because it's such a beautiful thing to escape for a while
Yeah.
and just enjoy what's going on in a movie or a television show. And a lot of times you just relate to these characters or you relate to what's going on in the story and it touches you too. Like I watched Clerks 3 finally. Oh my gosh, I sobbed like a baby. I'm not gonna lie. You would think because those movies have you seen Clerks 3?
I have not.
Oh my
But
gosh. You have to watch it. Because of course, like have you seen the first two?
I have not. I have not seen
Oh,
that one.
oh my gosh, you have to watch the Clerks movies. So the first two are heavy on comedy. The third one, it does have some comedy in it, don't get me wrong. So without spoiling it for you or anybody else that hasn't watched it, you know, it has a lot of comedy in it still, but it is so heartbreaking. But it's also such a beautiful story, and it brought both movies, like the other two movies, the whole franchise of that full circle, and it was so beautiful to watch. And I tweeted about it, and I about shit my pants because Brian, oh shit, how do you pronounce his last name? O'Halloran, I think is how you say his last name. And Kevin Smith himself liked my tweet, and I about shit my pants. Okay. Wow. I'm like, hi, how are you? And you know, I just yeah, it's those kind of movies or just shit that I love, like horror, that I'm like, wow, it is such a nice feeling to be so like into like I'm trying to there's a specific word I'm thinking of, it's not coming to my head, but to be so invested in a story and characters, again, no matter what genre, it's just such a cool thing. And I'm an empath, like I'm a heavy empath, so a lot of times what those characters are feeling, I'm crying, babe. I'm crying right with you. Put me on the screen next to that actor. I'm crying with her. Like it's a cool thing overall. Yeah. I know I just went on a long,
No,
crazy
you
ass
are
50
fine.
angle tangent. That's my and I've been saying this. I want to go see a doctor about it. I think I have ADHD. Welcome to my crazy brain.
No, you are
Um,
fine. So I mean, we've talked horror, we talked film, we've talked, you know, your career and you know and how you got your start. We even talked a little bit of politics in there, and we talked about real life. So right, so I think we covered a lot. So anything you want to say out there in closing to you know your supporters? You know, I know your dad is a mega supporter. I see him post all the time.
yes, we love
About
JJ.
so you know that's amazing to have that great support system. So anything you want to say out there to your supporters?
Um, I'm just very, very grateful that y'all care about me and love what I have coming up. And I'm again, I know I've said this before too. I'm all about supporting my peers. Even if I don't know you, I'm gonna post Scout stuff. I'm gonna post Danielle's stuff. I'm gonna post D Wallace's stuff. Like I'm gonna post everybody's stuff because
Yeah.
I think it's very important to support each other, to share work, um, to have these discussions, and connect. Connecting is such a beautiful thing. Uh, and you know, I listen to Talk Scary to Me,
Me
Scout Taylor
too.
Coffin and Danielle Harris's podcast. And Scout and Danielle always say, like, you only have like YOLO, basically. I can't remember the exact phrase, but they're like, this is your life. This is what you got. So live it. And you know, I try not to worry myself with a lot of things. Um, they're gonna happen sometimes. You're gonna worry about shit, or you're gonna want to try to change the world and I think we all as a whole just wish we could have more kindness and love and support. And so I definitely think, keep spreading that, stay open minded, support each other, do what you love, and
Yes.
don't let anybody stop you. Um, so yeah, just thank you because there's just so much more to come that I can't wait to share, that I can't wait to bring in more people on. Um, and you're an amazing person too. And I'm so thankful that you wanted to have me on your podcast. And um, are you going to Atlanta?
I will be there in February for the
Okay.
and a Comic Con. I was gonna go for Days of the Dead, but they really don't have too many people that I'm like, oh, I'll book me a plane ticket to go see.
That's
So
fair. That's fair.
yeah.
Yeah, I will be doing a movie in Savannah.
Oh,
Uh because I was gonna try to go and work at that one because there's a booking agent that I know that I was gonna reach out to him and be like, hey, do you need extra help? But I might be filming by then. Now, if all of a sudden I'm not yet, then I'm gonna be like, hey, buddy, do you need extra help? So I might see you there. I'll keep you updated. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on here and letting me ramble a little bit because a lot of times I feel like I'm rambling, but then I also feel like I have good things that are have like coming out of my mouth. But yeah, just be supportive and love and do what you love and just keep shining your light because we're all here for a reason. So enjoy life, have fun, and love. Yeah.
that is amazing. That I think you probably have been the best guest I've had on thus far because I've had
Stop.
directors, just the I had have you seen Destroy All Neighbors yet on Shutter?
I've not, but I've heard about it.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I just had those guys on, the writer, one of the writers and the director. And I have to say, you are, probably have been the most like amazing person because you're real. Like you're real. You're actually saying real things that people can relate to. Not
Thank
everybody can
you.
relate to writing a script, right? But you're actually giving real life examples. So thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule to come on. So any social media handles you want to put out there so people can see what you're up to next?
Yeah, so the Never Return movie Instagram, it's at Never Return Movie. Um and then my personal Instagram is Bryn Dami underscore BRYNDAMI underscore. Twitter, I'm on periodically. That's Nina. A lot of people would say Nina, but it's my nickname for my parents is Nina Bear. So it's Nina 99 Bear, NINA 99 BEAR. Add me on Facebook. I mean, I always try to like answer people that message me and stuff too. So like don't ever hesitate to be like ask any questions or anything. I'm always able to answer as quickly as I can. Like I said, I'm all about connecting and just meeting amazing people. I love meeting new people, making new friends and future colleagues and all that stuff. I just love it. Thank you so much for your kind words. I almost cried.
No, for sure.
You're an amazing person. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you, and you are too. Like I said, you attract very positive energy around you. So there's definitely great things coming for you in store, and I'm happy I get to witness the journey. So I'm right there in your corner.
Thank you. Thank you. Mwah.
For sure. Well, you have a great night, and it's been a pleasure.
You too. See ya.
Bye. And